Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mubarak's podcast once again. This is Hashmat Mubarak, your host. And today, I'm truly honored, guys, to be joined by Bashir Fayaq, a respected Hazara Australian community leader, human rights advocate, and executive director of Federation of Hazara Councils of Australia. His journey, I can say confidently, from Afghanistan to Australia is a story of resilience and service. Bashir Saib, thank you so much for joining, guys, and thank you for accepting our invitation. It's such a pleasure to have you tonight on Mubarak's podcast with us.
Well, thanks very much for having me on board with you. It's great to be with you, Mr. Mubarak.
Thank you so much once again. I would love to begin at the start of your story, Fayaq. Many people know the work you're doing today, but they may not know much about the young Fayaq growing up in Afghanistan or Australia, I don't know, and the experience that shaped him. Let me start my first question from here. That what are some of your strongest memories from childhood in Afghanistan, and how did those experiences influence the person you're today?
Thanks very much, Mr. Mubarak, for the questions. I guess I would start with this uh, analysis about my strongest childhood memories are connected to both hardship and resilience. I guess growing up as a Hazara child um, meant growing up with uh, awareness of insecurity, discrimination, and uncertainty from a very earlier age. So at the same time, those experience taught me how to be uh, more patient and also the importance of education and of course the collective support. I believe many of value the values that continue to guide me even today, including sympathy, social responsibility,
Mhm,
and of course, the ongoing public engagement were formed during those earlier years.
mhm. For yourself, moving to a new country is never easy, especially when you are young and leaving everything behind, like your neighbors, like your school, your relatives. And it takes courage for sure that to arrange and to adapt yourself to a new environment. And I'm sure once you arrive with your family in Australia, there were countless of problems and challenges that you have faced. I would like to ask this also that when you first arrived in Australia, can you tell us the biggest challenge that you faced with your family and how you overcome it?
Well, arriving in Australia at the age of 12 without family and leaving everything behind were both hopeful and extremely challenging. Mr. Mubarak, the reason for that is like many migrants and refugees, I had to navigate language barriers, culture adjustment, financial pressure, and the challenge of basically rebuilding life from the beginning. So one of the biggest difficulties were uh, learning how to find a sense of belonging while carrying memories and experience from the past. So education, support network, and of course, meaningful relationship played an important role in helping me adapt. So over time, I learned that resilience is not simply about surviving difficulties, but also it is about finding ways to grow, participate, and of course, contribute positively despite those difficulties.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For also many people, if we see the political leaders, educational leaders, if we see them or some people who have built some successful careers, they often point to education as a turning point in their lives, something like very important, a very important part of their life. For example, I have seen the last speech of Barack Obama on the Obama's Foundation that he also talked about that how education played a key role in his success. And I can also say this that the education is, much more than degrees and the qualifications that we get from a university or college. How did education help you shape your future, and any lessons that you have learned in this way?
Mr. Mubarak, I have to tell you, this is a fantastic questions. And I love these questions about education, which is something I cherish very dearly and close to my heart. So education, of course, transformed the direction of my life, I can tell you. For me, education was never simply about obtaining qualifications. It's never been that case. It became a pathway towards critical thinking, empowerment, and the broader social understanding through my studies in politics and diplomacy. And of course, now I'm doing my PhD at the Australian National University.
Wow,
So
great.
I develop a deeper understanding of the relationship between governance, identity, policy, and of course, lived experience. So one of the greatest lessons I learned is that education carries both opportunities and, of course, responsibility.
Yeah, for sure.
Knowledge, Mr. Mubarak, let me tell you, knowledge should not only advance individual, it should also contribute meaningfully to the society in which we are living today.
Mhm. As I
Yeah.
have searched about your background and read about your background, at some point you moved from focusing on your own journey to advocating for others, to advocating for your people, for Hazaras people, especially in Australia. Not only actually for Hazaras people, but for Afghan people in general in Australia. And that is, I can say, a significant shift, a significant change. And I'm curious about what inspired it. And actually, when did you realize that the community leadership and the advocacy would become such an important part of your life that you have sacrificed your time, your energy for advocating?
Well, I guess let me start by saying this. I do not think there was a single defining moment, rather it developed gradually through lived experience, civic engagement, and observing the challenges faced by marginalized communities and including our communities who are here in Australia for not very long. It's been like 25 years that our community members started living here in Australia. So over time, I realized that many people needed stronger representation, a stronger advocacy, and engagement with institutions
Mhm.
and decision makers, which is very important. So, therefore, for me, leadership has never been about titles or visibility. It has always been about service, Mr. Mubarak. It is always been about responsibility and creating opportunity for others and passing the great legacy to the new generation.
Wow. Mhm.
So that's what I believe, and that's what I strongly stand firmly, and I will do in whichever capacity I possibly could to represent very proudly my community at the national and, of course, at the international level.
Mhm. Today, you're one of the leading voices for the Hazara community in Australia. I can say this for sure that, it comes with both, as you have previously said, with responsibility and also sometimes with some meaningful moments and sometimes some challenges and obstacles on the way. Um, I'm curious to ask this, that what achievement in your work for the Hazara community makes you feel most to be proud of? For example, when you're alone and you think with yourself and you may laugh that, yeah, I did it. I did that for my people.
Wow, that's a tough questions. Um, I guess first of all, my member of the community will judge what I have achieved on what I have done for my community. I think I can tell you that I haven't done very much to my community, but one of the achievement I value most is contributing to the space where the voices of the Hazara community can be heard in meaningful and dignified ways, Mr. Mubarak. That is something that I always focus very strongly, whether through advocacy, multicultural engagement, policy discussions, or participation in national and international forums. I believe strongly visibility and representation is very important, and particularly for communities that are often underrepresented within the public and institutional discussions, including our community. And we all have this experience from Afghanistan moving to Australia. So I am I am especially proud of efforts that helped bringing important community conversation and broader civic engagement, academic and policy space within Australia. So that is something I am very proud, and that is something I strongly believe that we all should focus.
Wow, that is great. That is awesome and inspiring, you know? And there's something more, and I'm sure you understand and notice better than me that many migrants carry two homes in their hearts, you know, the country they come from and the country where they build their future. And that experience, I can say, like, it might be kind of complicated and sometimes maybe challenging. I don't know, because
Mhm.
unfortunately, I did not, fortunately or unfortunately, I did not experience that. I would like to ask this, that how do you balance your Afghan identity with your Australian identity, and what have both cultures taught you?
Look, Mr. Mubarak, let me tell you this. I see my culture background and Australian identity as a complementary rather than conflicting. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And my upbringing taught me resilience, uh, community values, and the importance of culture continuity. And that is something I strongly believe. Australia empowered my appreciation for diversity, democratic participation, inclusion, and of course, institutional engagement. So I think living between cultures has taught me that identity cannot be layered, and it is possible to remain connected to one heritage while also contributing meaningfully and of course confidently to Australian society.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, when people look at the leaders or community leaders like you know, they often see confidence. As I have seen some of your videos and some of your speeches at the United Nations, and most people actually see that the confidence, success, the speeches. But as you have mentioned before, the leadership is also comes with sometimes with some difficulties and challenging days, some setbacks, and some, we can say, moments of doubt. Uh, During the toughest periods of your journey, what helped you personally to keep moving forward as one of the leading voices of Hazara community in Australia?
During difficult periods or difficult times, what kept me moving forward was a combination of hope, responsibility, education, and the belief that challenges can eventually create purpose and perspective. So I always draw empower from the experience of many people within migrant and refugee communities uh, who continue facing some sort of difficulty, and at the same time thriving really well. So over time, I learned that persistence, patience, and consistency often matter more than certainty. So, and that is why, and that is something kept me moving forward.
Mhm. Well, so I want to use this opportunity to express my sincere appreciation for what you have done for our people and for what you're doing yourself for our people, for our generation. And we really appreciate your work and the sacrifices that you made. Actually, you have dedicated much of your life to helping others, to helping your people, to helping the young generation and creating opportunities for them, for the future generations. And looking ahead, there is still a lot to be done. There's still that still we need to work on that. I would like to
Yeah.
also ask your vision. What is your vision for Hazara community over, I don't know, maybe next 10 years or 15 years, both in Australia and around the world?
Great questions again. Um, my hope is to see a community that is increasingly educated, institutionally engaged, and economically empowered, and of course, globally connected. That is my hope for my community. And I hope, in Australia, I hope the future generation feel confident participating across all sectors of society while maintaining pride in their culture, heritage, and identity. Um, and of course, I am also hoping to see a stronger investment in youth leadership, women's participation, education, research, and community and institutional building. Um, and globally, I hope our community continues advocating for human rights, Hazara genocide recognitions, uh, inclusion, and equal opportunities for all, while building stronger international connection and professional networks. That is my fundamental hope for my community, and I am very confident that we will get there eventually.
Mhm. Yeah, as a last part of our episode, I would like to say is that there are many young Afghans listening who admire your journey and hope to make living, you know, like in Afghanistan or any other parts of the world. As a last question, I would like to ask this for Sab, that what advice would you give to young Afghans who want to create a positive change and but they're not sure where to begin?
Well, I would encourage young people to begin with education, self-development, and meaningful engagement within society and community. Positive change um, will not happen overnight, let me tell you. It usually begins through small but consistent efforts. Learning, volunteering, building relationship, listening, and of course, listening to others and contributing where possible within the community, within the circle they are interacting on a daily basis. I would also encourage them not to underestimate the importance of patience, integrity, humanity, and the long-term commitment. Meaningful impact is usually built gradually over time through consistency, discipline, and genuine engagement with others. So that is a very basic advice that I have got for our youth out there.
Yeah. Thank you so much, dear Bashir, dear Fayaq, and thank you for providing this opportunity for us and for this great conversation. I hope to have you in futures episode too. And then, if there is anything that I have missed or anything that you would like to share, mic is yours.
Well, I just want to take this opportunity to thank you, Mr. Mubarak, for your time and for your leadership. I know you, as a young leader, doing a lot of work with the challenge that you have got. So just want to take this opportunity to thank you personally for also basically spreading the voice and be strong voice out there. And I want to thank you for that on behalf of our community for the work that you do. So thank you
It's your
very
time.
much. And it's a great pleasure to be connected with you this evening.
Thank you so much. Stay safe
Pleasure.
and take care.
You too. Thanks, mate. Cheers.